We are live.
Are we on?
I guess we are live.
Well, if anyone's
Yes, we're live.
okay, he's already starting. If anyone sees us and hears us, let us know in the comment, say hello, so we know that we're working. It says go live.
Well, it said we are live.
Let me look on my phone. It's just 9 o'clock now, anyway. Make sure we don't have any technical issues.
Honey, I just turned 71. I got a lot of technical issues.
I don't see it on here. Let me ask Brian.
You need to let them know that we're down here doing the live thing anyway. What's up?
All right, I texted Kayla. Where's the comments? Oh, maybe because we're not on the comment screen. Duh. Okay, there we go. So we're live. If anyone's here, hello. Please sign in. Say hello.
Yes, if anybody else out there is live, give us a comment so we know you're out there.
Yeah, because one of us, I won't say which one, is prone to technical difficulties. And right now, cataract issues too.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get Brian to go on.
Went from calling her Blondie to Blindy.
Maybe we just don't have anybody on here. No, Kayla's on there.
Okay.
Hey, baby.
Hi, Kayla.
Are you studying hard, Kayla? Can you hear us, Kay? Say yes if you can hear us.
She said no.
She said no, you can't hear us?
Now she says yes.
Okay. Is the quality good? The sound quality?
Yes.
What about the video?
She didn't. That was the yes from before.
Okay, we need you participating here.
No, to studying yes to hearing you. Okay.
But you can hear. Okay. All right. So, hello. We are back from our trip. If you are here, sign in, say hello. Who is on here?
Brian Michael.
That's Brian. Hey, Brian. Hey. So Brian and Kayla are here. Okay, we're going to do the live stream for them. And maybe you'll win a prize.
Yeah.
So
give you a week off. You won't have to watch any more.
Yeah. No, I can't see. Okay, but I'm just going to wait and see if anyone comes on. If you guys can just hang on and just say yes if yours. And I think sometimes people are actually on and don't sign in.
David just signed. Says howdy y'all.
Howdy, David.
Anyway,
we're gonna wait for a couple people to come on. You want to sing?
No.
So we are Rick and Sharon from Cargon, and we haven't done a live for a while.
Like the t-shirt in the back, she said.
Yeah, so make sure you say hi to. Yep. I have such bad cataracts I can barely see, and I'm waiting to get a surgery appointment.
Trust me, because I just drove.
Yeah, it not pretty. And I really don't do much driving, so I can't see. So he is taking care of the comments and everything. So yeah, just say hi to them when they come on. Hey, that's Maylene, right?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Because I don't want to put my eyeball right up to the camera. I don't think you would appreciate that. So I'm going to try not to do it. So I know people can be on here even though they're not signed in.
Right.
However, we're going to have a drawing later. We're going to give away this beautiful shirt here. It says follow us, cargo on. And on the front, it says cargo on. There's only, I think, 4 of these shirts made because the ones that are in our store, we do sell this shirt in our store, but it doesn't have the cargo on the front. So special edition. We'll give you a word that you're going to have to put in the comments or chat, whatever this is called. And then we'll try an automatic drawer to see how that works. So you will have to get on later to say hello. But yeah, say hi. Tell us where you're from. So we are here in New Jersey. What's the temp?
It was around 51 or something.
Mm-hmm. And already this week, Rick is like, he's ready to go. He's ready to go camping.
Ready to go back to the desert.
He misses Arizona.
Yeah.
With the heat. And tomorrow, I've got an appointment to get my hair done. So I wear hats a lot because I always have messy hair unless my hairdresser does it. But Arizona completely blonded my hair out. So I don't even think I have to get it dyed. So she may just cut it tomorrow, make it look pretty. Maybe Phyllis is even on here. I don't know. Okay, so it's like 50 some degrees. We did a lot. This trip was
over the top. It was definitely over the top.
How so?
More than what either one of us has ever done in a trip, single trip.
Well, over the top doesn't mean it was too much. It was a wonderful trip.
Well, when I say over the top, I mean not just in terms of being excessive by our standpoint, but also just excessively wonderful.
Yeah, it really was great. So for those of you who don't know and have been living under a rock, no, I'm kidding. We left on Labor Day,
September the 4th,
to go across the country. And we had a general plan. We knew we were going to go up high up north and come down and wrap down the south. And we knew we wanted to go to as many national parks as we could and see as much as we could. At first, we had thought about going out to California, but gas prices were so expensive and time was limited, so we kind of cut that part out. But our first stop, as far as a national park, was the Badlands, and that was gorgeous. I wish I could bring up pictures, but I'm not going to mess with that because I'm just not technically that good at it, and I don't want to mess it up.
Especially after being away for 2 months,
What and I haven't done live, and I'm not real familiar with this. I would actually like to go live more often, but I need to get more familiar with this. I couldn't even load the thumbnail that I wanted on this. So, but we stopped in the Badlands first, and that was the only advance reservation that we had. Was in the Badlands. So that was the first stop. We had to get there by a certain time, and you kind of pushed to get there, right?
Yeah, we actually did push. We were driving about 400 miles a day.
And what do they say you're supposed to do?
200, yeah.
200 doesn't seem like that much, but
it isn't. But it allows you to live more normally than. I can understand it. Over 200 miles a day, you're driving more hours behind the wheel. You're sitting. You're getting stiff in the back or stiff in the legs, and so I can understand that fully.
Is this banners? Yeah. I want to do that one. So, it was a great trip. We'll have tons of videos to put out. I can't even. I haven't even gone through all the footage. I can't even find all the footage. I don't think.
She shot so much we had to buy her a second phone.
No, well, we did, but the phone was old anyway, in my defense. And well, the phone didn't have that much memory on it, and it was old.
Right. And your new one got a lot of them are new and it's still full.
Well, I filled the new one up too. So here's the
Yep.
thing, you know, technology wise, I struggle. I don't even know what the cloud is. I thought it was up in the sky, but apparently my pictures are there, but I don't know how to extract them. So, learning curve. So,
This
yeah,
could be a rather boring channel for the next year or two.
no, it won't be because we have so much footage. I just have to find it to get to it. I'm looking through footage. I'm like, wow, I didn't know. I forgot about that. Um, so anyway, we wanted to come on here to tell you a little bit about the trip and then give you guys, I know some of you guys, where's it say comments right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of you guys may have questions. If you do, just type them out there.
Okay.
So I guess, would we do it again?
Definitely. I was ready to go the day after we got back.
Absolutely, I would do it again.
It was fantastic. And yeah, I keep thinking to
There's
myself,
Alex. Hi, Alex.
hey, I keep thinking that I'd like to have done this trip when I was younger.
Mm.
And I'm certainly grateful that I managed to include it and knock it off my bucket list at this point in life.
Yeah, this.
So the first thing I want to say is I would recommend this to anyone at any age that has the resources to do a trip like this. Whether you're going to do it with fly and rental cars and hotel stays, or whether you're going to do it camping like we did. But somehow it's definitely worth the experience. I think the biggest thing was had such a profound influence on our attitudes about this country.
Oops, sorry.
And about living in this country, and what our lives are like in this country.
Well, you know, I'm sorry. Were you done?
Yeah.
You know, I'm born, raised in New Jersey, been here my whole life. It's all I know. And this is a big, big, beautiful country. And I was amazed just about the size of it and just different attitudes. It's so much more laid back out west. I really, really enjoyed that. It's just very different than the East Coast. So would I do it again? Absolutely, in a minute.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
Well, people always want to know, like, we put in some videos, like, I think we went a total of probably about 8,000 miles out back and getting lost, you know.
Side trips. Yeah.
Yeah. And the cost of gas was what?
Most places we were running, I would think the average was about 450, 460 a gallon. But we paid as much as $6.10 a gallon.
Yeah.
At the highest point. And there were a number of places in some of the states where we were paying 550, 560 a gallon.
So
which surprised me. It was higher than I thought.
Yeah. So gas wise, it wasn't the smartest time to go, but we didn't want to put it off because last year we wanted to go and we put it off because of the gas prices.
Well, this trip was kind of temperature dependent too. You know, if we'd have waited any longer, and gas prices have come down in the last couple of weeks, but if we'd have waited to take advantage of that, most of what we would have done across the north would have been very short-lived. We would have been beating feet to get out of there because of the cold, and beating feet to get down into the south.
Well, it was already cold. We had hit snow October 1st.
September 30th, actually, it was when we checked in there, went into that campsite, and it started snowing at about 5 o'clock on the 30th of September.
Yeah, and we shoveled out. Say, I don't know what name that is.
JM Stew. What was the total gas cost?
Okay. Hi, JM.
Hi, JM. We think it was like about 2,600. Now my van is a
no. That was just your cost.
No, that was what we think the total cost was.
Oh.
Yeah. We think it was about 2,600. but my van only gets about 10 or 11 miles a gallon pulling the trailer. And going through the Rockies and through all those high elevations and mountain passes, we were probably only getting about 9 miles a gallon on a good portion of this trip.
Yeah. So the gas was definitely the most expensive. One of our, I guess it was the previous video, we did talk about the gas price. I thought you paid 25 and I paid like 12, but I could be wrong. But it's in that video. I think you're still waiting for
Yeah,
statements,
but
right?
I got most of the gas prices pretty
Yeah.
well figured out.
So, that was the biggest expense. We stayed at some were dispersed camping. Of course, that was free. We stayed with the cows. Some of the dispersed sites were gorgeous. One of the most beautiful sites that we've ever stayed in. The place where we could just shoot right there at the tin cans.
Yeah.
That was fun. So we from dispersed camping, we went to state parks, a couple private campgrounds. I mean, sometimes I'll admit we got lazy and we stayed at the RV parks right alongside of the road because it was convenient. I mean, not that everyone's lazy that goes to those things, but we were tired and we wanted to pull in there. Our preference is to camp more remote, more in the woods and everything. So the RV parks aren't our favorite place, especially because you hear a lot of traffic and stuff from the roads. So, but we did stay on some of them. We went to KOAs a few times. We had to do laundry. That wasn't expensive because sometimes this was it the state parks or the national forest campgrounds were like only $7.
The national forest. Most of the state parks were about $20 a night. And having a federal, the National Park Senior Pass doesn't entitle you to anything there. In fact, one of the states we actually paid a premium because we weren't state residents.
Yeah.
But most of the state parks ran around $20 a night, depending on amenities. But in the national forest campgrounds, we were paying about $10 a night with the senior pass. And in one case, it was $7 a night to stay there. And then, of course, we were able to boondock for free. Did you plan the route and stop camping or just freestyle it?
Good question.
You can answer that.
Okay, so this is JM, right? I was so nervous about taking this trip. And we had a friend, Chris, who was on our channel. We toured his camper, but he went across the country last year. And I tried to pick his brain so much because I thought I had to have every stop planned. We only had one stop. The first one, our first stop, the Badlands, is what we had. We had nothing else planned. Now, I would be on the phone. I would get an app called Road Trippers, or what's the other one? The Dirt.
Yeah.
And we'd be looking for campgrounds nearby. And at first I was really nervous. I'm like, where are we going to stay? We don't even know where we're going. It never was an issue.
There's always a cow pasture somewhere.
Well, out there, there's so much dispersed camping. And, along routes where there's like, I don't know, out west, I guess it's different from here because out west, there's so many campers. And so there's a lot of campgrounds. They know people are going to be, pulling into camp. So we really never had a problem. We stayed one night at a Walmart. And that's because it was dark. We had gotten into, I guess it was Memphis kind of late. And I wasn't too crazy about staying at the Bass Pro Shop under the bridge.
Right.
So we went to the closest thing we could find, which was a Walmart. And I felt safe there because there was a bunch of trucks parked in there. Yeah. The truckers. So that was neat. I got to stay at a Walmart for the first time. And the only other night, one night, we were looking for dispersed camping. And this had to be probably one of the biggest challenges, and we talk about that in our video. Sometimes I think we were trying, to take everything in, enjoy the sights and the scenery, and we looked for our camping spot too late, especially if it was dispersed. Now, if you have a real big rig or something, you may want to do it early. We never have a problem getting a site because we could go into a tent site with our little rig. But if you have a bigger rig, you may want to go in, I would say by like 3 o'clock.
Yeah, particularly if you want a pull through site because they seem to go first.
Yeah. And obviously there's dispersed campsites. So it may say, okay, in this area, there's a dispersed campsite number 1. And you go there and there could be maybe 10 sites, but they're all full. So we went to 6 different camp dispersed sites like that. They were all full. And the problem is it's on this dirt road, and you really, it was in a forest. It wasn't a dirt road in the desert where you could just, turn around. It was a dirt road in the forest. We had no choice but to continue on the road because there was nowhere to turn around. So we went that way for 30 miles. And finally we came to a road, and we a paved road, and we followed the lights, and it was getting late by that time. It was probably almost midnight, and we were tired, so we just pulled over into like some business parking lot and just, got a couple hours of shut eye till the morning, and then we went on our way.
All right, we've got a couple more questions here. One is, what was our favorite state? Well, that kind of depends on the time of year you're planning on being there. I mean, we loved South Dakota and the Badlands, but we realized too that that's pretty brutal up there in the wintertime. So we love South Dakota. Most of the states that we were in, once we were west of the Rockies, on the west side of the Rockies, we loved them. Utah, and then it started getting cold, so we go down to Arizona where it's warmer, so we loved that.
But Arizona would be really, really hot in the summer. Arizona was gorgeous too. It.
And some of the states, because of the trek that we were taking, some of the states we were only in them briefly, like Texas.
Yeah,
we only went through the chimney at the top of Texas.
And Wyoming.
And Wyoming we were only in for a short period of time too.
Oh, we forgot Montana too. We weren't in there long.
Right, and we were in Idaho, but just kind of hop across the state line and then back again.
So we probably went through about 20 states. Is there another question?
Yes, a couple. One is, what would you do differently if you went again? Well, we definitely think that we pushed too hard, too many, like 1 and 2 night stays.
Yeah.
I definitely would like to spend a couple times, like 5 days or even a week in a location. I really wanted with this trip to spend a week on one site in the desert somewhere in the Southwest, and that never happened. So we were constantly like packing up, traveling, then trying to find a campsite. And originally my mental vision of this trip was we would go someplace and take a base camp and then travel around the area like spokes on a wheel to go to different national parks and different scenic areas so that we wouldn't have to pick up and move so often.
Well, we took 7 weeks, 52 days?
51 days.
It wasn't enough time. We only got to spend 2 nights sometimes in some places, and it was too short. So going forward, I agree. I would have liked to have stayed at some places longer. I don't think I would have. I'm really glad we did not have everything reserved and planned out, that because I think that would have caused me stress. However, if you have a big rig, if you're pulling a 30-foot rig or something, then it's going to be harder for you to get a campsite somewhere. Then maybe you do want to plan, maybe not every one, but some of them.
Well, you got to plan more, period, just because of the size of the rig,
Yeah.
Height restrictions if you're going on roads that may have low bridges and things like that.
Well, where were we? The one place yeah, I don't know if you pay extra, but you have to, they
Oh,
shut the,
one of the national parks, they have a tunnel that is so curved that if you have a tall rig, they have to shut the tunnel down and escort you through.
yeah,
And
curved meaning the tunnel.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
not the
tunnel
roads.
walls. And so they have to escort you through because they can't have any other traffic in there going the opposite direction
Yeah.
because you're going to be right in the middle. So those are the kind of things you have to take into account. Imagine doing the trip without GPS,
Mm-mm.
using paper maps like the old days and stopping to ask for directions. Well, I used to do that all the time.
No, but we did have maps too. We did
Yeah.
not just use, we had,
No, we had atlases and paper maps,
and you had a GPS.
and I had the GPS, which we needed because a lot of the time we had no cell phone.
And I had my phone, but you found a cool thing on your phone. Didn't it track everywhere you went?
Well, Google Maps has given me a day-to-day account of what we've traveled on this trip. So I can go look at any date and see where we started. And not only gives you the points, it gives you the times you were there. You know, like if you spent an hour in a restaurant, it shows it.
Really?
Yeah.
So that I should get some of that information. That's another thing I would do differently, just from a filming perspective. I'm having a really difficult time going through all these videos right now. I would suggest at the end of the day, go through the footage that you took and at least write where you were. You got another question? Oh,
Yeah.
there's hi, who came in? Brittany?
Yeah.
Hi, Brittany. I'm sorry. Can hardly see. I have bad cataract, so he's helping out here.
But we got it going west from here in the east. What state was the first to come to that was camp friendly, like boondocking everywhere? Well, interestingly, when we left here, we left in the evening on Labor Day, and we stopped for like about 3 hours in two rest areas in Pennsylvania, and you know nobody harassed us or anything in these rest areas, so they were fine. But the first place that we really felt welcome, we crossed the Mississippi River, and we stopped in a rest area right on the west bank of the Mississippi. They had like a custodian there, and he was scheduled to work until 10 o'clock at night. It was about 8:30 or 9 when we got in there, and he flat out said to us, "If you guys want to spend the night here, go ahead and do it. Nobody's going to bother you. It's
Yeah.
okay." So we really felt very welcome there.
That's when we ate our backpack meal because I didn't want to pull out the cooking stuff in the
Yeah,
parking
right.
lot.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, but when we got out further, I mean, oh, who's got all the dispersed camping? Arizona.
oh well, Utah and
Yeah.
Nevada definitely.
Oh yeah.
You
No.
know,
Oh,
and almost all of the southwestern states. There's so much Bureau of Land Management land, and a lot of the highways we were on, you'd leave one national forest and another 2 miles down the road, you'd be entering another national forest. And some of them had multiple campgrounds.
yeah.
As well as dispersed campsites available.
And well, we met up with Gone Again, Rick and Linda from Gone Again. We met them in Nevada, which I had been in touch with them. We had kind of talked about maybe hooking up. So we did. We camped with them or across from them. And when we left, he told us a place to go disperse camping. It was excellent. It was the best dispersed camping spot we ever have. That's where we were shooting the guns. You can't shoot guns in a campsite, in a campground, but in dispersed camping, some of them you can. And so we set up our cans. Nobody was around for like a mile, and
Yeah, we went back this dirt road, and there'd be like a dispersed site. There was an obvious dispersed site. They were spaced maybe a half a mile or farther apart,
Mhm.
and it wasn't too terrible a road to go back in. It was a little bouncy, but it wasn't like anything really super hilly or super ruddy.
You feel a little weird. Who was asking about JM? Where I don't know where you're from, JM. But if you're from the East Coast, it's very different out there. First of all, the land is vast. Okay, so you can understand why they have BLM land and stuff. But here, you wouldn't imagine someone just plopping their camper or tent down in a, a lot somewhere with the cows and and camping there. And that's a lot of it, what it was out there.
He's from
He's from
Annapolis.
Maryland. Okay, yeah.
All right. Well, a lot of these Western states, we did a little bit of research, and of course, I didn't retain it, much of it in memory, but a lot of these Western states and the Southwest particularly, some of them, like 30% of the land in the state is federal land or BLM land.
Yeah.
So, like one of the big ones that everybody watches on YouTube is areas like Quartzsite in Arizona. And the BLM has like 80,000 acres around the area of Quartzsite where, you can go there even in the winter tourist season and find a campsite and choose to be away from everybody and still find a place to be relatively private.
Yeah.
So,
but JM, are you planning, or have you done a cross country trip, or are you planning on doing one? Or is anyone else in here planning on doing one? Or have they done one and they have some advice, tips? The previous video, last week's video I put up was Wonder Woman RV, and she's a full-time RVer. She's been full-timing for about 2 years, and she said she doesn't plan out her trips. She said when she first started, she did, and she wound up canceling every reservation that she made because, life happens.
yeah.
If you go to a campground and you like it and you want to stay, he's planning it. Okay, yeah. So planning it, I think, was stressful. I think planning the trip was more stressful than the trip.
Well, I don't think it was the planning. It was trying to gain the initial knowledge that we wanted, because we're both people that kind of like to feel that you got your ducks in a row before you put your foot in the pond.
No, not me.
Yeah, right.
Well, you know me, I just dive right in. YouTube, whatever.
Yeah. She was so paranoid when we took off because of the fact that we only had one reservation made.
I was very, very nervous about that. I like things to be planned and fixed, but it worked out. And that was the amazing thing. I realized at home.
See, I've been doing road trips most of my life. And when I was younger, we never had reservations or even a set itinerary. Yeah. We would take off on a road trip and just kind of wing it.
Well, I guess I stress more about the detail, and sweating the small stuff. And we made out fine. We really didn't have to do that. There, like I said, a couple things that we would do differently. I would definitely get the Road Trippers guide, although I did use it. There may be some free ones too, though. But that talks about where you're at and looking for campsites or nearby areas of attraction, or motels or campgrounds, national parks, things like that.
Well, years ago, I was both an avid hunter and a Boy Scout leader. And as such, I used to purchase a lot of these maps that are put out by the U.S. Geological Service, that were these quadrant maps that have tremendous detail on them.
Oh, that reminds me.
And they would have like even individual buildings shown on these maps that are in that level of detail. Unfortunately, there's so much to know in reading maps, even like that, because these are usually done from aerial surveys, and then they have little footnotes on there and say this was updated in such and such a year and whatnot. So you get out there and you find out that even though you got this tremendous map, the trail you're on isn't quite accurate.
Well, we had that too with a dispersed camping site that we were looking for. It turned out to be a group site.
So it wouldn't have been available to us even if it were open.
It wasn't open anyway. It was closed.
Yeah, right.
And that's the night that we wound up going further up the mountain, and at 10,000 feet elevation had snow that night. So I was a little scared that night. Is there another question?
Yeah, JM saying we did a planned trip south and one unplanned to Niagara Falls. We liked the unplanned, but sometimes couldn't find a camp spot. But that's in the east here. Never been further west than Ohio.
Yeah.
Well, JM, I've been all over the country in my employment, but everything out west I flew into and flew out of, and I've never done a road trip west of like Colorado. So I was really looking forward to this because I wanted to experience what it's like to be on the ground in the desert and
Yeah, drive 80 miles an hour.
dry country compared to what I'm accustomed to living in the east. I grew up in Pennsylvania and so basically lived in Pennsylvania and New Jersey with the exception of 2 years I lived in Kansas City.
But there was plenty of places to like disperse camping and boondocking. I don't know how big your rig is. Is it 37 feet or something? Like I said, ours is so tiny, we never have a problem finding a spot. But even that, there's Cracker Barrels, there's Walmarts.
There's so much that there are places that you can't even think of on your own that you got to rely on the internet. For instance, it's very common now, or getting more common, to camp in church parking lots. As long as you're not there,
I think you have to ask them.
You got to ask them first, but you're generally amenable. In fact, when I was a Boy Scout leader, I took my scout troop and we camped in a church property in their Sunday school classrooms for a ski trip.
You know, another thing I wanted to you were saying that reminded me that we did not do. Apparently, there are what was those maps that had the BLM land that Rick had told us to get, and we couldn't find them here.
Well, the BLM has maps, but he was talking about he bought the gazetteer maps, which were it's like an atlas, a road atlas per state.
Yes,
and they have a lot more level of detail, and that's true. You can go on the internet and you can subscribe to a number of map services. I mean, you can even get maps that show the individual properties and who the owners are and things for hunters. So there's a wealth of information out there. It's just a question of what level of need you really have.
Well, if we were to go again, I think it would be a good idea to call or send away to Amazon, because to the states that we know we were going to be dispersed camping in, and get the maps of the BLM land. The other thing you can do, which we didn't do most of the time, is when you cross that state where the big sign is, and they usually have a visitor center there. Well, we don't go to them, but I would say go to them, because they have they're very helpful. They have a lot of information. They can give you a ton of maps. One of them even gave me a magnet. That's Nevada. So I would definitely say go, because they know where the BLM lands are and the campgrounds and stuff. And they'll tell you, like, this campground up here is good, but it's probably crowded now. Try this one, because a lot of the sites that we probably could find sites in were the ones without hookups, right?
Right.
We didn't stay in that many without
hookups. Actually, it was probably about 50-50.
Well, we have a generator,
right?
Which we're getting old. Is that it's quiet. It's an inverter generator, but the thing weighs 100 pounds. So a solar system would probably be better.
Well,
is there a question?
Yeah, Jam responded. He said he had a 30-foot rig, but now he has a 6x12 converted like ours.
Then you will not have any problem camping. And we have never been turned away from a campground. I've heard stories or saying that people may. I think there are some ritzy places maybe in Key West that probably would not have let us in. But yeah. And here's the funny thing. How many cargo campers did we see when we were out there?
Hardly any.
We saw one. It was Rick and Linda from Gone Again.
Yeah.
They weren't out there.
Nope.
I was surprised. And there were a lot of campers, but they just weren't out there.
Well, and the other thing was like, we would be driving on a highway, and I'd look up on a mountaintop, and out on the edge of on top of a cliff, out at the very edge of a mountain, with all trees behind it, I would see a fifth wheel camper out there parked on a site.
Well,
and I'm like, how the hell did they get it there?
Yeah, it's much easier to do this with a cargo camper. But JM, I don't know when you're planning on going. Okay. And we're putting a video together pretty soon that you're going to script and put together. But we did have a blowout on going 65 miles an hour. What was that? Route 40 in New Mexico?
No, it was in Arizona. We actually had to drive from Arizona into New Mexico to replace the fender that got ripped off by the tire.
But
so we're going to do a informational video, because after this happened, I've learned a wealth of information about trailer tires that I had no idea about before.
Yes. So I don't know if that played an impact into the dispersed camping. But I mean, I don't know why our tire, why we had a blowout. It could have been one of the spots we went on dispersed camping was pretty rough, and really, really like rocky. And I think the rocks may have been sharp.
They could have contributed to it, but based on the information that I've gained since we've been back, I'm going to tell you, I think that it was a lack of knowledge on my part. We didn't have the right tires for the speeds that we were driving at out west. Because in the east here, most of the tires are not rated for real high speeds, the tires that are available for trailers. And I didn't even know that they had different speed ratings. I thought.
What is it? And so you're getting new tires, right? It's a different ply?
Getting new tires. Yeah. Well, it's a heavier ply, and it's definitely rated to travel at higher speeds, 81 mile an hour.
So yeah, that was a little different. Driving 80 miles an hour and on some roads, and blowouts are scary. You handled it very well,
especially when you see parts of your tire 40 feet in the air passing you.
Yes. So we are going to do a video about that. He's going to research the tires really, really well. Normally we're around here. We travel on the East Coast. We don't go 80 miles an hour.
And we haven't undertaken a trip anywhere near this kind of mileage before. Never gave that a thought.
And the van did fine.
The van did great, but we spent a lot of money getting it serviced and ready to go on this trip too. So.
Yeah. But it was a wonderful trip. We would definitely do it again. What an experience. Like I said, there's going to be so many videos coming out of just so many different things. And it's just different parts of the country. Not only looking different, but, just the whole attitude, the atmosphere. And it's just more relaxed. What did they say about working out there? Out there, they work to live.
There, they work to live. Here, we seem to live to work.
Live to work, yeah.
But the other thing was, it's like sitting out on the porch at night in the dark and looking up at the stars and realizing just how small you are in comparison to the universe. Man, I felt that almost every point of the day when I was out in the West. When you're out in these areas where you can see for 60 miles in all directions and there's hardly any other human there to even look at. I was just so impressed with that.
I mean, I guess it depends on what time you go, but, it was a great trip. There were are there some things that we did wrong? Yeah, we probably packed stuff that we shouldn't have, and why are you shaking your head now?
Me, I never do anything wrong.
Um, yeah, I packed too many clothes and maybe should've, would'ves, with, way too much food, because you don't know what to expect. But like I said, I think the biggest advice I would give to anybody doing this would be to, um, spend more than 2 or 3 days. Spend 3 to 4 days at each place. I would have done more research than we did too, because we didn't even know some things. I mean, I don't wanna give it away, but the video, I think it's coming up this week that I'm gonna put up. I didn't even realize where we were. It's a hiking video. I did not realize where we were till I was getting ready to put the video up, and I did a little bit of research. I'm like, "Wow." So, when you're not from the area, you don't know what's around and everything. So, I would have done a little bit more research, 3 to 4 days at each area, maybe longer, and then if there's something you want to stay in, in that area. And, I guess the tires, that's a big one too.
Yeah, Jam says he upgraded his tires,
Mm,
had to check the axle alignment. Well, in this tire video, that's one of the things we're going to talk about. I had this axle replaced 2 years ago, and it's my belief that it was installed wrong. They actually bought an axle for me to go under the springs, and they went and mounted it over the springs because they told me that it would have the tires too low in the wheel wells or in the fender wells. So they changed it and went ahead and mounted the axle above the spring, but they never reversed it. So my axle was actually installed, I think, upside down
mm.
because it's got the crown in it, but the crown isn't bowed up, it's bowed down. So they should have put new spring seats on and then reversed it and swapped the axle. So this is where I'm at right now. I'm attempting to deal with this. I got new tires going on tomorrow, and I'm going to take the axle off and try and get it out. I've ordered spring seats. I'm going to get a local shop to weld them on for me and then put it all back together.
So that would be different. Yeah, if we were to go out tomorrow differently, I would, number 1, do more research in the area, stay longer at certain places,
Yeah, the
you know.
biggest thing is definitely don't be jumping like we did. Try to go. You're not doing the area justice by not spending enough time there.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. I mean, but we tried to get as much in as we could. It's a big country. 7 weeks is not a lot of time to do that many miles and everything.
well, and this is a first trip for us of this nature.
Yeah.
So,
And there were things we missed.
you know, I'm sure now with what we've learned from this first trip that any future trips are going to be impacted by what we've learned on this trip.
Well, I think we did learn, like with the dispersed camping, I think this is a big one. Find your dispersed camping early. So find your site. I wouldn't even go in later than 3. Um, and even the state parks, we didn't stay at any of the national parks. Okay.
Not
So
inside them, no.
because we didn't plan that far out. So we didn't have reservations.
Right.
So we stayed in state campgrounds that were near.
Or national forest campground, even that are right outside of some of these national parks.
Yes, that were near. So it could be 15 miles away, but they fill up quickly too because it's a huge park. It's Yellowstone or something. People want to get near it. So the one campsite in Montana was a beautiful site right on the water. That was full. There was one spot left that we got. At a lot of the state parks, it was the same way too. So I think we enjoy the day and then think, oh, we're going to call it a night and go find a spot to camp. No, you have to take a day and find that earlier. I remember the one campground I think we were early. We were like right around the time you could check in at the state park. And that's when you find the spots because people are pulling out then. So you go in, it's a lot of them are first come, first serve out there. You can't reserve them anyway. So if you go in right around, whatever the checkout time is, chances are you may be able to find one. And especially if you have a small rig, because I mean, you can take a small little site that a big rig won't be able to fit in.
Right.
So,
But like we got out to, I'm sorry, I kicked the table. We got out to Yellowstone, and the first night out there, we just stayed on a tent site in a commercial campground and paid $68 for it.
yeah.
And about 3 miles beyond that, there was a national forest that had 3 campgrounds all on the same road. We went up to the farthest one in, figuring that we would not have an issue with it. And the first two looked like they were pretty heavily occupied by like a lot of really big rigs. So we went up to the third one, which is about 9 miles off the main road. And we stayed for what was it, 2 or 3 nights up there and paid $10 a night.
Yeah.
Had a campsite right on this beautiful lake. And there were maybe, I don't know, 15, I'm going to say 15 or 20 sites on this loop of this campground. And at one point, I think there were only like 2 of us in the entire campground.
Yeah.
So, even in an area like Yellowstone, which is so heavily touristed, these national forest campsites are certainly nothing to overlook.
No, they were, they're not.
And they're vault toilets, but if they're well maintained, there's no odor. They're clean. The campground hosts really make the difference. They take care of these things meticulously.
Yeah, some of them were super, super clean.
So I can't say enough for National Forest campgrounds. I'm
Yeah.
so impressed with them.
No, I don't know. Well, they don't have showers.
No, but and some of the state parks, I'm really impressed with their campgrounds because they do have hookups and showers, hot showers, and
well, we're going to do a video on which is the nicest state park that we've ever been to.
yeah.
And you're not going to believe what state it was in, but it was amazing. I'm going to put a video up on that. So, how many people are in here?
Maybe about a half a dozen.
So I said I wanted to give away a shirt, and I want to try this, even though I don't think there's that many people in here. So I'll try it because I want to know for a future live stream that I do when we'll have thousands of people on.
Right. Jam was asking, what amount of time would you suggest for a total trip? 6 months?
Oh,
question mark. It depends on what you want to do. To do what we did to try to cover that amount of time, yes, 6 months would have probably been smarter.
Yeah, but, I could see that because we could relax some. But look, we had dogs. We didn't take our dogs with us. Okay. My grandkids live with us, so the grandkids were, they're adults. They were watching the dog. So I guess we were kind of in time limited to get back by a certain time because of getting back to the grandkids and the pets. If we didn't have that, well, I'll tell you, if we would have stayed, we would have been in Quartzsite right now because everything else would have been cold at this time.
Yeah.
So I know we would have been in Arizona
somewhere down
or
there, yeah.
the Keys or something and wrap up that way. But I do think that we could definitely. I know what nomads go through, and with that, being 7 weeks out on the road, I think we could do it full time? Yeah, I do think we could do it full time. Is it something that we may do? Who knows? Maybe in the future, but yeah, definitely. If you have 6 months to take, especially if you know where you're going to go to the national park, some people maybe want to spend the national park at I mean, a week at every national park. They were gorgeous.
Uh,
And not everyone just wants to visit national parks. There's other things.
if I had to try to cover the ground that we covered again in the future, my initial thoughts, and this is directed primarily to JM, my initial thoughts would be I'd go out to like South Dakota and I'd spend a couple weeks in South Dakota, a couple weeks in Wyoming, a couple weeks in Montana. I'd do 6 weeks just in those three states.
Mm.
And then come home, go out again and do like Arizona and New Mexico.
What do you mean? Come home to here?
Yeah, come back home. And then the next trip, I'd go out to like maybe Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, just three states at the most, and spend like 2 weeks in every state. Because I think,
But the worst part about the trip is the driving out there.
yeah, that's problematic. But you can push it 1 or 2 days on the way out, like we did going to South Dakota to the Badlands. We pushed for 3 days to get out there.
Yeah.
Because we had a reservation. But it makes more sense to me to spend more time to investigate.
Yeah.
The couple, Gone Again YouTubers that we met up with out in Nevada, they tend to go down to Nevada quite a bit. They love that state and they're like touring it intensely.
Nevada is, a lot of people just think it's bleak and barren and desert. And maybe if you're just driving down the road and looking, that's what it looks like, but it's really not. And that is where our favorite dispersed camping spot was, Nevada.
But, there are
there was a stream right there.
Yeah, there are very few states that are like all desert or all mountains or all forest or whatever. They're diversified. They may have the majority of the state could be desert, but it's going to have an oasis here and there.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that if you don't spend enough time there, you'll never find that out.
All right. It's almost 10 and I want to do this giveaway thing. So we have to pick a word. We'll just pick the word West, W-E-S-T. See if I can get this to work. If it doesn't, we'll have to do it a different way. So that's not it. So, hang on. Where'd it go? Okay. So the keyword is West. Let's see if this works. Start collecting comments. So type the word West in the comments. And I'm going to let that run a little. And I think I had to put that on screen share. And then we'll pick. So.
Look at that. I won.
Well, no one's typing it in there. So maybe no one wants the stupid shirt. Well, if not, then we'll do it a different time. I have a hat too, like that. But I would say this, the trip was amazing. If you're from the East Coast and have not been out West, I would say go. Even if you don't take a road trip like we did, just to fly out to Nevada and check out the parks in Utah. The parks in Utah are amazing. But every time I went to a state or a park, I'm like, oh my God, this is the nicest state. Or, oh my God, this is my favorite park. Well, and then the next day I'd go to a different one and I'd be like, oh my God, that's my favorite.
New Jersey state parks, in comparison to what we encountered on this trip out West, it's like night and day.
Yeah.
I think most of the states blow us away with their state parks compared to what we have to offer here in Jersey. Well, Pennsylvania is better, I think, because we've done a lot of camping in Pennsylvania state parks. But still, some of the parks that we got to out West where you go in a state park and every site has full hookups,
Yeah.
If you like comforts and the luxury, that you can't beat that.
I definitely wouldn't rule out state parks. We love state parks. Um, we like to disperse camping though too. I mean, it was nice. It was private. Um, so I can't say which was my favorite campground. The one state park in Montana, I really liked that right on the water. And
Yeah.
then I really liked our dispersed camping. We had a couple different spots. My favorite was in Nevada. We were completely alone by ourselves. That's when we were shooting at. We were at a couple other ones that um I don't know. We were with cows. There were other people there. They were okay, but they weren't as nice as the
Well,
other
the
ones.
one cow pasture we were in, though, the closest camper to us was like a half a mile away or more. So
I
that
can't
wasn't an issue.
I can't read. All right. So
He says, I have a spot for a hookup at my house. You folks are more than welcome anytime. I appreciate your time.
well, Annapolis is a beautiful city, that's for sure. Town. I've only been there once, but it was pretty neat there. Or like what is it? The Annapolis.
Naval Academy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is anyone going to type West in so I can test this thing? Guys, type West. If not, I'll just. Yeah, we'll see. So, oh, there we go. Oh, you did?
You did.
Maybe it's not working.
No,
You didn't notice.
jam type. That's
I
first
do
one
see
said.
that.
Yeah.
Is it up here?
Well, he's saying they probably typed West in their statement, in their comment.
I don't know if it has to be West by itself. Yeah, this thing might not even work.
Made up the rules beforehand.
No, I've never used the app.
Yeah.
JM, what's it say?
David was saying he did. All right, JM specifically used the word West right here.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
David
Okay.
said he did. JM
West.
said West.
You
David
didn't
said
notice.
He didn't notice.
Okay. Dave, did you write West?
Dude did. Send the shirt. David's saying send the shirt to JM. Yeah, JM was the most communicative.
Yeah. So, all right. So I still wanted to use the tool, but I'll do it at a different time. So, JM, just send me your address. Our email is ricksharon9@gmail.com. And I don't know what size shirt this is. I think it's a large or an extra large. If that's no good, I have a book here, a campground book or a hat. Okay. So send me an email, ricksharon9@gmail.com. So we will test this a different time. But wait, let me try something. Yeah, it's not working. See it?
Yep.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back soon, and be sure to check out our video this coming. I guess it's be going up Sunday, and that is it's a little different video. It's a hike that we went on. Beautiful, beautiful hiking spot. And this is the video I was saying. I didn't even know where we were hiking until I started putting the video together. I'm like, do you know where we were? It was pretty amazing. So check that out. All right, guys. Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Yep. Good talking to you.
Oh. Hey, from Australia. Acronis the Wolf. Are you really from Australia? Wow.
Did you shut off?
No, not yet.
Not yet. No.
So we're just I think he just logged on. So Acronis, hello. We've just been on here.
Arconis.
Arconis. I can't see my cataract.
Right.
But Yeah, I don't think there's more people in here, so I don't want to keep you longer, but thank you so much for joining us. And I'll put this up on the channel too. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Take care.